Time for another edition of the Daily Racing Form, a weekend preview. I'm Gina Bacola alongside Scott Shapiro, producer Lucia helping us out this week. Scott, it'll be a fun week. We'll get a chance to bounce all around this week. We'll start at Churchill Downs. We can preview a race there. We'll head to Laurel Park, and then we'll finish up over at Del Mar. It's an interesting time of the year now. Some of the meets are changing. If you're a horse racing fan, you'll see meets like Tampa Bay Downs and the Fairgrounds. And then even next week, Gulfstream Park will be opening up. So it's a big time in horse racing. Scott, it's a fun time in the world of sports. You, I think, just beat me and my dad in our fantasy football league recently. So you've been dominating me in some of the sports. But if you're a sports betting fan, you need to check out that sports betting section of DRF.com. Just look up on the top right. You see that football icon, and you click on that. It'll take you to the sports betting section where you can read news, you can get sports book reviews, and you can claim up to $5,000 in offers when you sign up for different sports books. So check out that sports betting section, DRF.com. Our buddy Scott, Eric puts up some bets each week too, if you ever need any help playing the football games, college or NFL. Let's get to the races that we have this weekend to take a look at. Let's start at Churchill Downs, Scott. It's going to be Saturday for the Grade 3 Commonwealth Turf. It's going to be race number 10 here. I think of the three races we have, this is probably the best betting race, pretty wide open, where we can maybe make a case for a lot of different horses in here, Scott. You have four of them that come out of the Bryan Station race. And we'll actually start with California Burrito, who got good on the synthetic surfaces earlier in the year. He actually won the John Battaglia Memorial, and he was in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, which is one of the races that gets you qualifying points for the Kentucky Derby. A little disappointing in that race, and in the Pat Day Mile, they gave this horse some time off. He'll try the grass for the first time. Imagine probably from the inside, try to get this horse involved and show some early speed.
Yeah, before when I originally looked at this horse who has some talent, I think All Weather was really what he showed the talent on, though. So not worried about the Pat Day Mile, but I thought it was probably a prep for Turfway this year, with the eye maybe on the Kentucky Cup Classic as the ultimate goal. But our colleague David Aragona made a good case for the pedigree on the turf. He likes this horse, so at 20-1, that's enough for me to give a little bit more a bump up to. I do agree, should be forward from the inside.
Yeah, David is a great handicapper who you could find more from on the Daily Racing Form YouTube if you ever are looking at a lot of the race previews they have, and he's the man who makes the morning line odds for all the tracks at New York. We move to troubleshooting, Scott. This is a grade 1 winner. It's a multiple graded stakes winner. It's really tough to knock what this guy has done over 2025. I mean, he's raced 7 times this year. 4 of them have been wins. 2 of them were runner-up efforts. He just shows up and fires each and every time. And it was pretty impressive to see that he could stretch out from the 6.5 furlongs to a mile. I think we previewed the Bryan Station, and you seemed pretty content and pretty sure that he would be able to stretch out to a mile.
Yeah, but I'm starting to, you watch the race, and it really set up nicely for him. I don't want to take anything away from him. It was a race that favored forward flow. I think the mile was really stretching him. If he was 8-1, 10-1 in this spot, sure, I could make the case that he's just getting better and better. But as probably the favorite here, I think I'm going to take a swing against.
Horse that does look like he's getting better and better right now is Montador. And you look at his overall form, Scott, it's just really tough to knock anything he's done. He's never run a bad race. He's actually crossed the wire first 3 times. One of those races, he got disqualified. But what's nice about him is he has that type of running style that is really friendly to bettors, where he can just kind of put himself in the race, but not on the lead. He can sit just behind the leaders within a couple lengths and really give you a good run for your money. I feel like he'll be involved just a few lengths behind. He'll give us every opportunity here. I like him in this spot, Scott.
Yeah, me too. He did get a really good trip last time out, but I kind of see that happening again, kind of a pocket inside trip. And I think it's a positive that he's coming back on 20 days rest for Michael Stidham and Godolphin. They don't need to rush a horse out for a grade 3. I think he's just doing very well. I think he's the now horse, and hopefully we get the 5-1.
Anagata just won the Hawthorne Derby. So positive there. But when you look at the races prior to that, he was behind Plensa, Giacoso, Simulate. So he's going to have to improve on those foes who have been in front of him in recent starts.
Yeah, his maiden victory, maiden 50K, so he didn't break his maiden against the top-level maidens. He's been outrun when he's kind of tried at this level. I think he's a couple low, but if they go at it a little bit on the front end, which is possible in here, maybe he could pick up some pieces like he has in his 2 starts over this surface.
There are some horses at big prices in this race that don't have bad form. I mean, like Outrunner in here, you don't really knock a lot of what he's done, but he's going to step up, Scott, and face tougher in this field. He's coming off of a third in the Old Dominion Derby, but this just feels like a tougher, deeper group. That group was sort of led by one horse, World Beater, who was the dominant horse there.
Yeah, he's got tactical speed. He's kind of a grinder, so I don't think the mile and a 16th might not be ideal. But the only starter that Jorge Eduardo Jr., the trainer here, has sent to Churchill in the last 5 years was a winner. So maybe he knows that this horse is live and has spotted him for this spot. He's clearly looking like he's been prepped for this spot, I should say. So Outrunner may be worth a little bit of a look.
This next stretch of runners, I mean, you could probably make cases for a lot of these horses. Mancetti won the King's Plate, which is the Canadian version of the Kentucky Derby. He's going to try turf for the first time, but he does have a winning turf sibling, and this runner has a good amount of speed, Scott. He's bred pretty well, and he comes off of back-to-back runner-up efforts even after his win in the King's Plate.
Yeah, I think he would need things his way. We really don't know what to make of him on the turf, so it would be a price-dependent play. I just don't see him being loose out there like he was in the King's Plate, that huge win up north. So I'd be against Mancetti, but I'm very happy and looking forward to see him run in this spot.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of questions on him. I want to see one in this spot from him. We move to Giacoso. He's a grade 2 winner. He will be trying to turn the tables, though, on Plensa, who beat him a couple starts back in the Gun Runner. But you're looking now at 4 races in a row that are pretty solid. Even that 5th in the American Turf, that was a good effort behind some nice horses that day. So he's just really been stringing races together nicely, Scott.
Yeah, and you get Jose Ortiz, who's not only a good rider, but it's nice when you see a barn reach out to a rider like Jose. Keith DeSormo usually sticks to his guys. Ben Curtis already down in New Orleans for the Fairgrounds meet. Jose being aboard won't hurt. This horse just doesn't have that punch to come from way out of it, so he kind of needs to be in that second tier.
Yep. Chapman's Peak has won 2 in a row. What's nice about those victories, one of them was on the front end. One of them, he had to sit and then kind of made an early move. So he showed us that he can pass horses if need be. He can win races in different ways. Here is the victory at Keeneland most recently. What do you think about Chapman's Peak? We talked about Jose Ortiz on Giacoso. Brother Irad is right next door.
Always scary to fade Irad, but I'm against this horse to an extent. I think those mile and 5/16 maiden specials, 3-year-olds and up at Kentucky are much softer than this. And he rode a good rail on the front end against another suspect group in a first level allowance at Keeneland. This is a big step up. Can he win? Absolutely, but it's going to be too short of a price for me.
The number 9 Flying Mohawk ran in the Kentucky Derby back on May the 3rd. This horse showed ability on the grass. Then he ran pretty well when he finished second at Turfway on the synthetic, so they took a shot when he qualified for the Derby. He gets back to the grass now. They've taken a little while to get him back. I think he's had a couple hiccups along the way trying to get back to the races, but I feel like he has a pretty high ceiling on the grass. I just don't know if he's ready for that A game quite yet.
Yeah, those questions are all fair. His trainer's very good. And to those sports fans out there, which are plenty, 2-8 Racing, that's Jason Worth, who's got very much into horse racing these days. So, you don't want some rooting interest. This horse might give you a fun shot rooting at the end for Flying Mohawk and Jason Worth.
2 outside horses, Simulate and Plensa. They've been a little unlucky at the draw the last couple races, Scott. They both had outside draws in the Bryan Station, and they're going to be drawn to the outside again. And I think both of them have some talent, but in an evenly matched field, when you're parked out wide, kind of limits your options in what you can do. So things for both of these horses to the outside, Simulate and Plensa, feels like things have to really break well. Do you have any thoughts on either of the two?
Well, it's tough. That first run, it comes up pretty quick at Churchill, mile and a 16th. I prefer Simulate only because I've always preferred him, but his last race, very discouraging, did no real running. Both of them are really going to have to work out a trip here to have any sort of shot.
Yeah, I think of the two, I also prefer Simulate, but both of them just are a little up against it in this spot. As we move to selections, we both landed on the same horse in here with Montador, and then some differences in the second, third, and fourth spots for Scott. 3, 7, 2, 10 for me. 3, 8, 4, 9. Don't go anywhere. We're going to bounce on over to Laurel Park. They have a fun stakes Saturday ahead. Fun Saturday of stakes action out at Laurel Park. They've done a really nice job over the last year or so, bumping up some of their stakes programs, big fields, competitive races. And Scott, this is another one of them that we're going to be talking about. Race number 7 on Saturday at Laurel Park has a $100,000 stakes purse, and it's called the Dave's Friend. It's going to be 6 furlongs on the dirt. Thought we had a pretty competitive group lining up in this race here. You start things out with the number 1 Subrogate, who is coming off a 4th place finish over at Aqueduct in the Bold Ruler. Not all that fast early. And I think sometimes that can put him in a tricky spot, especially when he's down on the rail here. He came running late for 4th. It was a fine effort. And if he were to show up with one of his best races, like we saw from him in the middle of 2024, that would go a long way against a group like that. I kind of go back and forth a little bit with him, Scott. What are your thoughts on Subrogate?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from going back and forth. I think we should get an honest pace, but not a chaotic one. Sometimes that could work out real well for him, but his last start, he got out of the gate real slow. Some of his other starts, he just doesn't get out of the gate first. The rail, he could put himself in a tight spot, but cutting the corner and having a good kick, it would depend on price for me. He's not my top pick in this race, but I wouldn't really talk anybody off him.
We move to Patinga's twin, the number 2. He has some big wins in his career. I mean, you look, he's won 5 times in a few of those races. He wins by 9 lengths, by 10 lengths, by 5 lengths. Even this race here we're watching, he wins this race by 3. He strikes the front. He opens up. He never looked like a loser in this race. It was really impressive. I always wonder when you bet a horse off of a big race like this, sometimes they regress a little bit, right? Because they just ran such a big race. It's hard to put 2 back to back. But I mean, you pick out some of his races individually, he's certainly capable of a big effort.
He is. You nailed my thoughts on him. I mean, it took him a long time. And what I like to do with those trying to figure out regression is look back to other big efforts. If it's his first big one, maybe something's figured out. But there's been other really big efforts, almost close to, I think he has a buyer higher than this one, if I'm not mistaken. And it took him a long time to get back to his top effort. So I'm very much worried about regression off of his last.
Number 3 is Twisted Ride. This guy comes off of a win on October the 29th. It was in a small field at Parks. He pushed through from the inside to lead. He got pressure throughout. He actually got passed at the top of the lane, but he battled back. I think he was better than this group, Scott, and now he'll step up and face tougher. He'll probably have to deal with other speed in here. He's pretty honest, though. This 6-year-old, he's got 10 wins, 8 seconds, and 6 thirds. He generally shows up with a pretty good effort and gives a nice account of himself.
He does. He's hit the board in all 3 starts at Laurel. Last time out at 4 to 5, like you said, it was just horses he's better than. And he's a 10-time winner, but hasn't been winning races as much recently. I think he would really need to have things his way on the front end to win this race, or even really maybe finish 2nd or 3rd. So I don't necessarily love his chances, but if Maximus Meridius, who we'll talk about in a minute, misses the break, that would really move him up.
Uncle Cat tried turf last time out. His most recent win, though, it was at Timonium. He feels like he's in a little bit tough to me, kind of light on speed figures.
Yeah, I understand taking a shot. This horse has hit the board in 6 of 10. He's local. You go turf the dirt off of a 2nd place effort against this decent field, but he's in pretty deep here. I would assume hitting the board would be very happy for them.
Showstopper Copper is in nice form. I mean, you look at 4 consecutive races where he's run really well. He's won on the lead. He showed that he can sit off the pace a little bit. He lost to a horse named St. Jude, who is 4 for 8 and has won 3 of the last 4 with some pretty high speed figures as well. And Showstopper Copper is coming off a career best buyer speed figure. What do you think about his chances in here?
Well, I think we talked about it last week with the Claiming Crown winner, one of the Claiming Crown winners, but horses that are, in barns where they're the only horse or, getting a lot of it focus and winning races. This horse is 5 for 12. I think he's the only horse in this barn. They're 2 for 5 on the year, and he's 2 for 6, and he was at another start outside of it. So I think this horse is interesting. He likes to win races. He has to do so against better competition here, but I wouldn't just totally toss him because he's a Virginia bred for a barn you don't know.
Yeah, a couple horses that I had a tough time reading, like Maximus Meridius, because he's a multiple stakes winner. He's really quick. And if you go back to late 2024, early 25, he'd be really tough in a spot like this. His last few races, they're not been bad. They just haven't been quite to his A game and as good as he can show with his best efforts. What do you think about Maximus Meridius in here?
It doesn't seem like he's the same horse right now. His
Yeah.
one recent win is at 1-5. He lost at 1-20. His last race in the Park Sprint was fine. I'm just going to play it and hope that he's not the same horse. I'm kind of thinking and hoping, but thinking too that Twisted Ride and Maximus Meridius get caught up in a little bit of a battle and kind of take each other's chances out here, compromise each other's chances, if you will.
What makes this race tricky to handicap, Scott, is there are horses like you just mentioned with Twisted Ride, with Subrogate is one of them. Maximus Meridius is one of them. Sunny Breeze, and we'll talk about Dean Delivers. These are horses that have showed up with big efforts, but they're not all that consistent, right? Maybe have run some of their better races, but you look at Sunny Breeze, proven at Laurel, second start back off a short break. All of a sudden, that race where he just missed in the Gallant Bob behind Ben Tornado looks even better after Ben Tornado was second in the Breeders' Cup Sprint and then wins it this year. I think Sunny Breeze, second start back, he could sit a decent trip in here. He kind of got shuffled back a little bit sneaky in that race. What do you think about the seven's chances here?
He's a horse I like quite a bit. He moves outside, which I think is key when you have a stalking style like him. He was down on the rail last time. I think it was a dead rail of Laurel, if my sources tell me correctly. But just being on the inside when you're not fast enough to make the lead can be harder on horses than being able to be right outside the speed, draft in, and just work out a perfect trip. He likes this course. I think he's going to be a fair price.
Scott Shapiro has some good sources. Listen when they speak. Prince of Jericho is next up. He loves Laurel Park, Scott. He's a top contender, but he just hasn't raced since February. So I think he's one of the horses with the best ceiling, but he may need a race for his best. This barn is really capable of getting him ready off a long layoff, though.
Yeah, 14 for 51 over the last 30 days, 222 ROI for the Brittany Russell barn. Tough to doubt them even off the break, but the price is going to be short. All 7 wins have come over this course. It's just, you're just kind of hoping that he doesn't run his best.
Grade 3 winner, grade 1 place. Dean Delivers rounds out the field. Horse had a good start. Scott was a little bit wide, but he just didn't really fire. I thought it was a disappointing effort for the beaten favorite last time out.
Florida bred. I think he was in the Fountain of Youth back in 2022. I'm going to pass.
And let's move to selections as we round things out. And we're both going to be on the same spot here with Sunny Breeze. 7-8-5-1 for Scott. 7-3-8-6. Hopefully we lead you in the winner's circle there. And then we head out to the West Coast to Del Mar. Before we get into our final race preview, want to let you know about one of the new tools that Daily Racing Form is offering. Scott, when I think about AI, I'm thinking about practice. You talking about practice? Practice? Not practice. But we're not talking about Allen Iverson. We're talking about DRF AI, and all of you can ask DRF AI anytime you need help playing the races. One thing that I like to do, I'm looking for big prices when I'm playing. So you can ask DRF AI, hey, this weekend at Churchill in the late pick 4, can you find me some 10-1 shots in each race that you think are live? And then they'll put 2 or 3 horses that are 10, 15-1, then you can take another look at them. Then you can maybe dive into them and see why they like those horses. This will help your handicapping, make life a little bit easier for you. AI, ask DRF AI, scan that QR code on your screen right there. Scott, we will bounce over to Del Mar for our final segment. It's just a short field. It's the grade 3 native diver. It'll go for $100,000 as race number 8 on Saturday at Del Mar. We'll start things out with the number 1, Indispensable. Comes off of a string of races where he wins at Del Mar back in July. And I think we can see that he really does like Del Mar. Both of his career victories have come over this track. He's run second a couple other times and third. And the only time he didn't hit the board at Del Mar was in the Pacific Classic when he finished 4th behind really nice horses. Fierceness, Journalism, we saw them go on in the Breeders' Cup Classic and perform very well. So I think he likes Del Mar. I don't really knock his race in the Pacific Classic. He goes over to Churchill. He runs a fine 3rd in the ACAC behind Tumbarumba and Most Wanted. I think a lot of his form makes sense. He just doesn't feel like he's quite as good as Nevada Beach, who looks like the standout horse in here. And Indispensable has been kind of a cut below graded stakes for a lot of his career. He's maybe right into that grade 3 range. So I could see him hitting the board. This is not a strong group, but he doesn't seem like he has quite as high of a ceiling as a couple of the others in here.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of an alternative view. I think the last couple of races are very forgivable. I think
Yeah.
fierceness, journalism, those courses would be favored in here. I'm just going to take a stand and say that. And the
Yep.
ACAP, he didn't get to the front. They ran 1-2 around the track. He followed the leaders, and that's a one-turn mile. So I'm hoping he tries to make it to the front in this spot. And I think if he does, I'm not worried about the mile and an eighth. I think he's a horse that's on the come and just kind of has been up against it a little in his last couple. So I like his chances here if you're trying to spring the upset.
I had a hard time making a case for anybody besides the 1, 2, and 3 in here. I think you could get to building a case with those 3. You were talking about the speed with Indispensable. I think a lot of the race may come down to Indispensable and Westwood. Can one of the 2 of them shake clear from the other one? And if that were to happen, I think whoever gets the lead could be pretty dangerous in here. So we get to Westwood. I thought his last race was a little disappointing. He had some trouble back on October the 11th. Then on October 31st, he was your beaten favorite. He was kind of in between horses. He lost position, but he was never going to win that race. He broke his maiden when they put him on the lead, Scott. So I wonder now, after back-to-back races where he may have been a little disappointing, he had some trouble, do they try to get him back to the lead again here?
Maybe, but I wouldn't think going to Rispoli was the horse guy I would want to go to.
Good point.
Last time out when he was disappointing. It was an ugly second. I thought the horse that he held off from coming from third is Brazenly, who's 1 for 26 in his last couple. I think he's got the one win. I think he's been a big disappointment, and he's going to have to beat me here.
Nevada Beach is the number 3. He's a grade 1 winner. He finds a really nice spot dropping out of the Breeders' Cup Classic. If you look at his Breeders' Cup Classic race, really wasn't even that bad. He finished 7th. These are the horses who were in front of him: Forever Young, Sierra Leone, Fierceness, Journalism, Mindframe, and Baeza. Those are horses that are all just a little bit better than him. They're all grade 1 winners too. Really nice horses. The thing with Nevada Beach though, Scott, he's not that fast early in races. So if you can beat him in a small field like this, it'll be getting to the lead in here, and he'll probably be sitting maybe 3rd or 4th in this race. What do you think about Nevada Beach in this spot?
I'm just you said all the stuff positives. I'm just not excited about betting a horse at a very short price after the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Great point.
Clearly his main race. He's probably going to win the race. I would never bet on him.
British Isles tries the dirt again. His first 3 starts were on the dirt. They weren't very good. He's a better horse now. One of those races was behind Nisos, who's a Breeders' Cup winner. Can you make a case for him in here?
Not really, but at least he has the work on October 4th at Santa Anita. Maybe that's why they're going back to the dirt, other than to take a shot. 5 furlongs, 59-1, a bullet drill that day.
Clouseau rounds things out. He finished most recently 4th behind Westwood in that vodka race. And Scott, his wins, 5 of them have been against Calbreds, 2 of them up in Northern California at Pleasanton. He's just been better against softer company.
Yeah, he leaves himself with too much to do as well to beat this group.
We didn't have the most exciting betting race to round things out, but Scott's going to take a little shot against the favorite with the 1 Indispensable, 1-3-2-5. For me, 3-2-1. Check the schedules because things will be a little different for Thanksgiving week next week. And make sure you don't forget about the Daily Racing Form weekend preview.